there, and welcome back to Japan and to our World Tour Wednesdays, where today I'm going to be checking out a song by a band called NEPHEW, which is called Game Dig. Never heard of it before, never heard of them before, I never heard of the feature at Marie K before, so this is going to be really interesting. However, I have actually just done the reaction. I'm about to give you the review. If you want to see the initial listening to the song, pause this video, click the link in the description below where you can watch the reaction with me, just in case you've never heard the song before, or just in case you want to see my initial facial responses to going upon watching this video. If you don't want to see that, or if you've already seen that and you're ready for the review, here it comes. So you ready? Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, review time. This was an interesting one. It's got that sort of like retro 80s feel, like I guess you could say a little bit. It's not just that, but it's got that kind of much more somber, I guess, Europeans. This is a sound that you associate a lot with that sort of now slightly retro 80s, or like I say, European sound. I think there must be a name for this genre or this style that I'm not aware of. However, when I'm listening to this one, I've got to admit that it strikes a lot of notes that I find really engaging. The vocals did a lot to help, in that I found their voices really worked. They weren't... I think sometimes what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of this style of music, I tend to think of overly stylized vocalization. You know, people singing in a slightly too, like I say, overly stylized way. I'm really struggling to find the words for this because, like I say, it's reminding me of something, but it's a style of music that I don't often listen to. I'd be really interested if you guys can mention some things. I don't want to give any references because I'm probably going to be so far off. So let's just try and talk about it as what it is. But I love the fact that the vocals sounded a bit somber, but at the same time they had just enough personality, just enough emotion, and their two voices went really well together, which is why it's almost a shame that it's just a featurette. It would be nice if these two were actually both, in the band together. Now, so like I say, the voices went well together. They did a nice job of layering up. So at first one sang, then the other. Then you had slightly quicker call and answer at certain parts where it's one line, one line, one line, one line. And then you had those really good bits where they were singing, in harmony. Some nice harmonies as well. Just their voices matched brilliantly. And the producer did a good job as well of getting the most out of their voices. I really liked the way that it was recorded, the whole tone. It sounded nice and full. As for the instrumentation, there were some nice subtle touches to that. I will actually first of all say that the guitar tone was really nice. I thought that was good because the song had a bit of an electronic feel underneath it. It was very sort of, like the beat was very almost synth, sort of stompy. Had, like I said, a slightly disco feel to it. And the guitar itself also had, at one point, I really liked, and I pointed this out during the reaction, it had like a chopper effect, which is one where basically the volume goes off, on, or sometimes just up, down, in time with the actual music. So you get a bit of a sort of sound happening. And that was done really nicely. I like the way that was just sort of subtly there, and it helped give a little bit more pace to things, because the actual playing was quite slow, because it is quite a somber song from the way it feels. I don't understand the lyrics, obviously, but it helped give a little bit more pace to it. And so that really worked for me. But the guitar tone itself was really nice. It had a sort of a bright, sort of a slightly distorted, but a bright feel to it. It really cut through. And yeah, just the overall sound of the song, it sounded very complete and yet also sounded slightly sparse. It's one of those rare examples which works so well and really actually gives a lot of credit to the producers as well. When you can do that sound where it sounds quite sparse, it sounds quite spacey, sounds like a bit of a dreamy soundscape almost, but at the same time, when you actually listen to it and analyze it, there's quite a lot going on. So I really felt this was a nicely pieced together song with a really interesting sound. And the intriguing thing that comes from that is that actually the hook was quite catchy. It's still going around in my head right now. I've still got the chorus going around in my head right now. Da, 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 da. I can't speak that language. So yeah, I must admit, although this has been somewhat of a rambling review, this surprised me in a lot of ways. It wasn't really what I was expecting, and I liked it a hell of a lot more than I expected as well. I guess I didn't have any pre-expectations, but if I'd really kind of known what sort of style this was going to be, I would have probably been somewhat apprehensive. But yeah, like I said, it's worked out as, I think, a very nicely pieced together, very sonically well-crafted, catchy, and nicely performed song. Now, just in regards to the video, the video, nicely shot. It had a cool vibe to it, and there was a bit of a sort of dramatic, somber feel to it. It's clear they were working on a relatively low budget, but they picked an interesting location, and it was shot, like I say, good angles, nice performances from them both. The bit where they start making out at the end, though, that was a little bit bizarre to me. As I say, I kind of hope that they actually are a couple in real life, because otherwise that's weirdly awkward, if not. I mean, you can imagine if they, like, the director's suggesting this to both of them, and like one of them is much more enthusiastic than the other. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and the other's like, we're doing what? You know, and maybe they've both got their own separate partners. I don't know. I don't know. This could have sparked all kinds of weird things in their lives if they're not actually a couple. How, I don't know. It for me, as someone who doesn't know, who's watching this, it's kind of like, oh, okay, they're making out. And plus, considering I don't know the lyrics as well, it's so that made for an interesting little side note at the end. But yeah, basically, this was really good stuff. I think I would even go as far as to say that this is one that I would probably be inclined to listen to again if I wanted something with a sort of a somber but not depressing tone, a sort of chilled out, thoughtful sort of tone. This is one that I would probably put on again. And like I said, it's catchy enough to actually remind you of its existence. Catchiness is not necessarily an indication of quality, although obviously it has its own applications, its own uses. But catchiness is that thing that reminds you of a song. It's that thing that makes you come back to it. Because there's so many good quality songs out there in so many genres that it is easy for songs to slip out of your memory until you just accidentally hear them again, which often with, I'm not going to say world music, but, with sort of foreign language music is something that for most people is more likely to be difficult for you just to accidentally be reminded of the song. So being catchy is kind of a useful little tool to in the toolkit of these kinds of songs. Anyway, this has been one of the most rambling reviews I think I've ever done. I have just been going all over the place. So probably the best thing for me to do now is hand it over as usual to you guys to get in the comments and tell me what you think, whether you like the song or not. I'm really interested to see what you guys think. If you can give me some points of reference. I know what I'm thinking of when I'm talking about that sort of, I think 80s style or maybe early 90s style, European style of music. If you can give me some references or if there is actually a name for that genre, let me know. Otherwise, like I said, I'm just looking forward to reading your comments, hopefully getting in there and replying to some of them. Also, remember you can like and subscribe if you want to do the YouTube stuff. And on top of that, we have all of our social medias linked in the description, whereas a lot of people talk about music all of the time, hopefully a little bit more articulately than I have been today. I can't re-record this because these are first reactions. Just, I hope it made some sort of sense. And as always, a massive thank you to our Patreons for keeping the channel alive. But thank you for making it through to the end of this video. And until I see you hopefully soon in Japan for the next one, for now, ciao, ciao.